Hello, my name is Bosu Bankole, and like so many other people, I have attended interviews in the past for positions I believed I was qualified for, have the required skill set, as well as the needed experience, but I didn't get selected. And unfortunately, those emails that announce to you that you haven't been selected for the position, sometimes they don't come with a reason why. And that could leave you in doubt about your abilities. It could also make you question if you were qualified for that position in the first place. But here's what I've discovered. An interview is not a test of your ability to do the job. Rather, an interview is a test of your ability to confidently prove to the interviewers that you are the best candidate for the position. What does that tell you? It means it's possible for candidates who are not as qualified as you, who probably do not have as much experience and who probably would not even do as well as you might on the job, but they could come in for those positions and get selected. Welcome to my channel. This is Random Chat with Bosu, and today I will be discussing interview questions and the best answers to those interview questions. How do you get your foot ahead of those questions, and how do you prepare the best answers to them? If that's the kind of content you're interested in, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and then share this with every of your friends in the job search process. The first set of questions I want to talk about are position-related questions. Now, those are questions that test your knowledge of that position or your knowledge of the everyday operations of that kind of role. Now, in my opinion, position-related questions are the most competitive question you're going to get in an interview. That's because any candidate who had gotten as far as an interview level must have been able to prove that they do have the knowledge required for that role, or they do have a good knowledge of all that the role entails, right? So that doesn't make you any more different from every other candidate. And position-related questions helps the interviewer to make decisions faster, because it's either you know what the job is about or you don't, right? And if you don't, it's easy to separate you from the candidates that are moving forward in the interview process. So you need to own your knowledge of position-related questions. And to start with answering those questions, be generous about what you know. I mean, that's like the background. Express your knowledge as freely as possible, as confidently as possible. You must be able to show yourself as a subject matter expert in that field. Show your knowledge proudly, because you need to convince them that you know what the position is about. And aside showing your knowledge, you need to step ahead of just knowing about it, but share some knowledge of the kind of challenges you think people in that position face and how you believe those challenges can be resolved. That kind of takes you ahead of every other person, because you're not just saying what you know, you're telling the interviewers that you can envisage the kind of problems that a person in this kind of position faces, and you have an answers to those problems. You know, that just separates you from everybody else, and it also shows you know what you're talking about a lot better. The next set of questions I want to talk about are accomplishment-related questions. And accomplishment-related questions are those kind of questions that inquires about your major wins in the past, questions that tests the things that are special about your experiences or things that you've done that's worth celebrating. And you should look forward to accomplishment-related questions, because that's your opportunity to shine. It's your opportunity to share your major wins, stories that shows you as a very competent candidate and that shows you as the best person for the role. But to answer accomplishment-related questions effectively, you must master the art of reading job descriptions. You know, sometimes we think a job description is a document that lists the expectations for the position or basic requirements for the position, but sometimes job descriptions also tells you the kind of challenges the organization needs that candidate to come in to resolve. For example, job description could tell you they are looking for a candidate who's able to use a certain tool, or who's able to help in deploying a certain software. That tells you that they have that challenge. Or you might be looking at the job description of a project manager, for example, and then in that job description it says we want a candidate with this amount of experience negotiating deals. That's to tell you that that's a major need for that position, and that's something they need that candidate to help the organization to perfect, right? So you need to prepare for accomplishment related questions. You don't just assume that you will know what to say or that you will have the right stories to tell. Now, in preparing for your interviews, you need to do like a map of requirements or expectations and your achievements. You can make a tabula if you want, like a list of all the major requirements or all the challenges you've identified from the job description, and then match those needs with the wins that you've had in the past. So if the job description says skills required, had this, that, list how you have used those skills or how you've applied those skills in the past to resolve major issues for organizations. That gives you a story for every problem. And sometimes you may not have a story for all the problem, but having a good hand of stories that are applicable to the role helps you to get well prepared. And this can throw you off balance at any time. I can share a personal experience of talking about accomplishment related questions. I think I was interviewing for a talent acquisition position, and I was asked to talk about an innovation or something I'd done in the past that I was most proud of. I can't remember the exact way the question was drafted, but it sounded like talking about your major win. And one of the major wins I had at that time was that the organization I was working for, which was a construction firm, they were having challenges with matching the client's expectation, especially when they have certain projects to deliver on. So I was at one of the meetings, and I figured that problem could be easily resolved by just communicating the business's understanding of the deliverable. For example, when the organization gets a PO to deliver on a certain project, I encourage them to don't just receive the POs and go to work. I encourage them to take some time to review the PO and list out the expectations, like draw up a work plan, list out what you will achieve by when, and send it back to the client so they can ascertain or give a yes to what the plan you've drawn out and what your own understanding of what the deliverable was going to be. So that was just like a simple thing I said, and that improved the process a lot. And of course, it also saved the company a lot of money. So I was proud of my involvement with that. And when I was sharing that story in a talent acquisition interview, the interviewer could not connect the story. And the next question he was asking me was, why would you even want to get involved with that? So long and short, that story was not the best achievement story to tell in a talent acquisition interview. So you need to tell the kind of stories that matches the kind of wins that organization is looking for. Because that's the best way they can connect you with a role or connect you as a candidate with that position. The next set of questions I want to talk about are industry-related questions. And those are questions that test your knowledge of what's happening in your industry. Questions like, what's new? How do you stay ahead of innovations in your industry? Those things that helps the interviewer to know if you're conversant with the changes that are happening around you, right? Now, when you get industry-related questions, don't be pressured to think that you have to say something unheard of. Because new could also mean a revamp of something that is existing, right? So you could talk about things that are changing for you in your own environment or in your own job. For example, a new way of practicing what's already existing would be a good idea. And sometimes, even on your current role, there are changes you're thinking about, but that has not been approved. That could be innovative, right? Because it's not being done, does not mean it's irrelevant. So don't be pressured about what stories to share in answering industry related questions, but be open about your thoughts, the things you're already thinking about. And you could also share your activities around networking, like how you're constantly having conversations with people in your field, just to know how they're carrying out the job in their own, just to know what's happening in their own organization and what's new for them. Talk about your association, the journals you read, the books you read, What you want to establish with industry related question is your curiosity and your interest in finding information. Whatever story helps you to achieve that would be a good story to share in answering innovation related questions or industry related questions. Now, before I wrap up, I should tell you that it doesn't matter what question you get in an interview. What keeps you ahead is how prepared you are, like your knowledge of what the job requires and being able to remember your best stories that is related to this particular job you're interviewing for. Well, that's all I am going to share today. I will be back again to talk about more questions to expect in an interview and of course how to answer those questions. I will be putting a list of some questions in the section below, so look out for those questions, like especially questions that are mostly related to the sections I've spoken about today, like accomplishment related questions, industry related questions, and of course questions about your knowledge of the job. So I'll put those questions in the comment section, or look out for those. And I also look forward to hearing from you, like what are your interview experiences and what are some questions that you've gotten that shocked you in an interview process. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and please remember to share this with your friends that are in the job search process, okay? Thank you, and I look forward to being with you again next time. Bye.